license is somewhere in here.
That's okay.
You know, I just usually have it.
1/1/94. That's an easy birthday to remember, huh?
It really is.
Alex, what's your phone number?
When you say buy a pregnancy test, do you mean those kinds they sell in the drugstore that give you a line?
Yes.
All right. So where were you when you took the pregnancy test? Do you remember?
I was at a gas station.
And did you tell Jason about it?
Yes, I did.
How did he react?
He seemed anxious, and he wanted to go get the test confirmed at the doctor's, and it was hard to really read what he was thinking at the time.
Did you go to the doctor?
Yes, I did.
After, and what was the result from the doctor's office?
I was in fact pregnant.
Ultimately, what did you decide to do about that pregnancy?
I ultimately decided to terminate the pregnancy early on.
Why?
I wasn't sure what to do at that time. I was scared. I was so young. I was confused as to really what to do. So I decided, it felt rushed. I decided to terminate the pregnancy.
And would it be fair to say that even then you had very conflicted feelings?
Yes.
Objection, leading.
Sustained.
All right. How did terminating the pregnancy make you feel?
I felt very empty after. I felt it hurt emotionally and physically, and it made me feel alone and very empty.
After terminating the pregnancy, did you tell Jason you did not want him in the room?
I did, yes.
Why?
I felt overwhelmingly ashamed, and I just felt like I didn't want to have him witness me like that. I didn't want him to.
This abortion and its aftermath, was there a change at all to your relationship?
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about that?
After the abortion, things between me and my partner and Jason, it caused a lot of distance between us. He began sleeping on the couch, and he rejected physical intimacy, even holding my hand at times.
Just so we set the date, do you recall the date that you terminated your pregnancy?
Yes.
When was it?
The only date that I could schedule was October 6th.
Is that a significant day to you in another way?
Yes.
Why?
It's my birthday.
So you said he started sleeping on the couch,
Yes.
lacked physical intimacy, wouldn't even hold your hand. Were there other things going on in your relationship that made you feel uneasy or unhappy?
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about those?
Jason and I started feeling frustrated, and I felt very micromanaged at the time. He was controlling me in many ways and micromanaging me, and we had started to grow apart as a couple.
Were there anything that he did that made you feel physically uncomfortable?
Yes, he never hit me, but he would be very erratic with his gestures, and sometimes he would throw things or break things, and that made me uneasy.
Did he make accusations of you at all?
Yes.
Why don't you give us an example?
An example of an accusation is that I was clumsy and that I would lose his things all of the time, and there was a time where he got very heated over a Sharpie marker even, and it caused an argument between us.
What did he say about the Sharpie marker?
that I misplaced it on purpose, and I'm so stupid for losing things all the time. I shouldn't touch his things. That's about what it was about.
You were in court when Jenna Van de Zant testified?
Yes.
And she identified herself as, well, first of all, did Jason have a roommate back at that time?
Yes, he did.
What was that roommate's name?
His name was Alexander Zink.
And what was Jenna Van de Zant's relationship to Alexander Zink?
They were boyfriend and girlfriend.
Was she somebody that at that time you became close to?
Yes.
You heard her testify about Jason criticizing your makeup, or what was that about?
Well, he would at times criticize my makeup. He would say I looked like a clown, or he would criticize my weight, even though at that time I was very small from being sick, and he just, anything he could really pick at, he would.
You mentioned that Jason and your adoptive father, Joe Shane Carlin, are about the same age.
Yes.
And did Jason have a relationship? Well, first, did Jason in some ways remind you of your father?
Oh, yes. He definitely reminded me of my father.
Okay. Currently, how's your relationship with your father?
I love him and we're fine.
Okay. But growing up, how was your relationship with your father?
It was very turbulent. I was often afraid of him and intimidated and very put down.
Well, first of all, let me ask about both your parents, your mother and your father. When you grew up,
Yes.
at a certain point, did your mother and Joe Shane get a divorce?
Yes.
How old were you then?
I was in middle school, so 11, 12.
Before the divorce, what word would you say most described that household?
It was like living with two tornadoes in one room.
All right. And focusing on that,
Yes.
the tornado that was Joe Shane, when you say tornadoes, what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is they're both very strong, opinionated people, and they just would often butt heads. And my mom she disagreed about ways he would discipline me, and that would cause arguments.
Was there a lot of time when your mom was not at home during that period of your life?
Yes, she was working.
And when you were with Joe Shane and your mother wasn't around,
Yes.
tell us about some of the things he would do.
Some of the things he would do when I was younger is he was very loud. He would always yell about something, or he would put me down. He often called me stupid, and he would say I wouldn't amount to much and that I was slow, and he was very emotionally abusive to me.
How did you respond to that?
I responded by just being quiet, and I would cry, and I would just often go off and be alone.
When you would cry, how would he handle that?
He doesn't approve of crying. He would tell me that he would give me something to cry about.
Was part of your response of dealing with him, did you sometimes feel like you were like spaced out or lost a sense of where you were?
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about that?
There was often times to tone out the yelling and the name calling that I felt very distant from myself. I would essentially just close off everything around me, and I didn't want to cry in front of him, so I would prevent myself from crying.
Were there times where you found yourself in that state without even realizing you were going there?
Yes, there was times I would zone out and I wouldn't even realize I was doing it at the time.
All right. And getting back to Jason,
Yes.
did he meet your parents?
Yes.
And Jason and your father, what kind of relationship did they have?
Very buddy. They were very close with each other.
Okay. So coming back to the issue, leaving aside your family,
Yes.
coming back to the issue of you and Jason, and you're in this period where things aren't going well.
Yes.
What is happening at this point in your friendship with Alex Woodworth? And I'm directing you specifically to October
Yes.
2017, okay? After the abortion.
Alex and we began, he would notice me at the coffee shop and I would notice him more, and we started going on long walks with each other after he would close.
When you say he would close, what do you mean?
He closing up the restaurant, coffee shop, Racy Delane's.
Do you mean he was closing up because he was the last patron there, or was he working there?
Working.
And on these walks, why don't you tell us what you and Alex talked about?
Alex and we talked about life itself. I would talk about nature and how I viewed things. And then Alex would talk about how he would view things and his philosophies and his ramblings, as he would say. And often I was kind of the yin to his yang, because a lot of his philosophies countered mine, because mine are very in the sunlight, in the sunshine, and his are very much so a rainy day.
Did you tell Alex about your abortion?
Yes, I did. On one of our walks, I shared with him what I was going through at that time, and he allowed me to open up about it and how I really truly felt and all of the pain that came with it.
As you got close to Alex,
Yes,
did you learn more about his past?
I learned some things about his past, yes.
And your relationship, I'm going to ask you some questions about his past, actually.
All right.
What did you learn about Alex and his feelings as you became close with him?
Feelings towards his past?
Yeah, just tell us some of the things he shared with you.
Some of the things he shared with me is that he often puts a happy face on when he goes back home for holidays, and at times it can deeply depress him, and he often felt like an outsider, that he had arguments with his father, I believe, and that he was deeply religious.
I'm going to object, Your Honor. I don't see the relevance, number one, and number two, it's hearsay.
Well, again, first of all, in the hearsay objection, ladies and gentlemen, and you're going to hear testimony about things that Mr. Woodworth may have said and things that he may have wrote, and they're allowed in this case, not for the truth of what he wrote or what he